All right, so the table shows the distance that Callie swam over a 4-day period. And we want to know what was the total distance in miles that Callie swam. So this is going to be a 4-step process. And starting from the top, the first thing you have to do is you have to add all whole numbers. Okay, so let's go into the table and let's add those whole numbers. We have a 1 plus 2 plus 2 plus 3. One more time, that's 1 plus 2 plus 2 plus 3. Add all those together, you're going to get 8. Next, we're going to add all fractions and then find like denominators if needed. So let's go back into the table. And on Monday, there are no fractions, but then on Tuesday, you can see we have 3/4, which is a fraction. So we're going to add 3/4. And we're going to add whatever other fraction is left. Wednesday, there's a decimal number, but on Thursday, there's a fractional part of 1/2. Okay? Now, the thing is, we know that 2 fits inside of 4, so even though they are not like fractions, we can make them like fractions. In order to turn the 2 into a 4, we got to multiply times 2. Okay? But you got to make it, you got to make sure that the fraction stays the same, so we're going to multiply it by 2 over 2, so that we turn the denominator 2 times 2 into a 4 without changing the value of the fraction 1/2. So now we go 1 times 2 is 2. So 2 over 4, that represents 1/2. And now we have like denominators. Okay? So because these are like fractions, the denominators are the same. We keep the same denominator and we add the numerators. 3 plus 2 is going to give me 5 over 4. Okay. Last but not least, it's actually not last. This is improper, so we know that 4 fits inside of 5 one whole time with a remainder of 1 out of the 4. Now, guys, 1/4 is what we call a quarter. It represents, you could think about it like money. So a quarter is worth 25 cents. So we can rewrite 1 and 1/4 as 1.25. And that's why we call it 1/4. Okay. All right, the next step, we are going to add all decimals and then add everything together. So starting from the top, and let's maybe do this up here. Starting from the top, we have 1.25, and we just found that right now from the fractions. Okay, now we have to go back to the table. On Monday, there's a decimal there, and we're going to need to take that 0.5. Okay, so we're going to line up the decimals, put a 0 in front, and then we're going to put a 0 in back. There's no decimals on Tuesday, but on Wednesday you could see there's 2.3. So we're going to take the decimal from that, and we're going to line up the decimals again, 0.3, put a 0 in front, put a 0 in back. Now we're going to add all that together because we need to add all the decimals. So when you do that, this is what you get. Okay. And last but not least, for this step, we need to add everything together. So we're going to go back to our whole number 8, and there's no decimal there, but we need to line it up. Okay. And finally, we get our total. It's going to be 10.05. Okay. Now we need to use a process of elimination. So we're going to write this down here. I know it's getting a little messy, but 10.05. We know that that is not the same thing as 10.5. Okay. Think of 10.5. If it was money, it'd be 50 cents. 0.5 is a nickel. Okay, not the same thing. 10 and 1/4. We just talked about it over here, that a fourth is the same as a quarter, like 0.25. So 10 and 1/4 is the same as 10.25, and we know that's not the same thing either as what our answer is, so we can cross that one out. All that's left is option C and D, but you want to work smarter, not harder. And we know that it can't be 9 because we have to have a 10 in there. So option D is out, and the correct option is going to be C. Okay. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and compare this. 12.10, we know that A cannot be it. 2/5, if you convert that into a decimal, it would be 12.4. 12.5, we know that's not it. So the only option that is correct would be option C. And that's just a coincidence that it's the same as last time.